Welcome back to the program, everyone. It's The Verdict, and as you can see, many of our viewers are tech-savvy as they're taking different pictures with their laptops and their phones and putting all of them in there for us, so thanks a lot for that. Now, in the spirit of keeping you updated with activities that are happening today, the People's Democratic Party is alleging that one of its presidential campaign council spokespersons, Mr. Buba Galadima, has been arrested by masked men. The opposition party claims that Mr. Galadima may have been arrested by operatives of the Department of State Services, the DSS. Now, Mr. Galadima was said to have been picked up at the PDP Situation Room in Abuja, and his whereabouts, according to the party, is still unknown, as calls to the mobile phone of Mr. Galadima are not answered. However, when Channels Television asked the DSS about Mr. Buba Galadima, the security agency says they did not arrest the PDP spokesperson. In the meantime, the PDP is demanding unconditional release of Mr. Galadima. In a statement by the national chairman of the party, Chief Uche Secondus, the PDP condemns the arrest, saying no crime has been stressed or attached to Mr. Galadima. The PDP statement goes on to say that it wonders why Mr. Galadima will be the focus when, according to the statement, quote, "The nation is currently boiling with the deaths caused by thugs of the All Progressives Congress. Not one of these thugs has been arrested by the DSS. The nation was embarrassed by drone images of million vans laden with cash driving into the home of the national leader of the APC, and no action has been taken by the law enforcement authorities. Yet a patriot and pro-democracy activist is arrested." End of quote.
And now we have, back in our studios here, we have our first set of results from this election. The Independent National Electoral Commission has announced three results, all three, of course, being from Osun State. The first is the Osun Central Senatorial seat, where the APC candidate, Mr. Bashir Ajibola, scored 132,821 votes to beat the PDP's Ganiu Abayomi, who scored 106,779 votes. In the House of Representatives, the Rekpodun Oshogo Olorunda Orolu constituency, the candidate of the APC, Olubukoye Oyewo, scored 66,933 votes to beat Maruf Adewale of the PDP, who scored 59,551 votes. While in the Obokun Oriade constituency election, still for the House of Representatives from Osun State, Olashiji Olamiju of the APC scored 19,725 votes to be beaten by Oluwole Oke of the PDP, who scored 25,329 votes. So, 2 House of Reps seats and 1 senatorial seat. The senatorial seat and 1 House of Reps seat going to the APC, the other going to the PDP. These are results as announced by INEC.
So for all those wondering when they'll begin to hear results,
they're beginning to come out now. We're beginning to get the results. Now back to our discussion. Neta, you were in the middle of something.
No, actually, Ms. Ajala was actually thinking about how we're going to move forward in the area of technology especially.
Okay, for technology, well, I want to believe that if we have the experts sitting down with the INEC people, looking at all their processes, because technology now is, it's simple. It's just making things faster. So if we have to use biro and pen and large sheets of paper and things like that, all these things can be fed into the system. And whatever you want to achieve physically by analog, it can be achieved digitally. And in terms of, oh, you are scared that, oh, maybe they will compromise and blah, 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 there are many ways of you ensuring that it's intact, that is intact. For instance, from the polling booth, once the result is out, it can be sent even via the phone. It's just creating an app that is secured, send it. Once it gets in there, and it can actually be sent to various destinations as you want. It's whatever you give the computer will do for you. It's whatever instruction you give the computer that the computer will do for you. So it's about saying, this is what I want. And then you get the people that design it to come up with the app.
But then the conversation around this country is that Nigeria is not ready for electronic voting because the majority of the electorate is somewhat illiterate.
It's not there, it's not here. Before I came, we discussed about this in my family, and one of my children said, oh, are we ready for this? That there are places where there's no electricity and all that. And I said, we have to start somewhere. Let's look at the adoption of the ATM cards. Some years ago, people were saying it won't work. In fact, some people actually said they would not even take it. But now it's a lifestyle. If you don't have the ATM, it's an issue for you. And we're not talking about the elite now. We're even talking about the people in the rural area. They are using it. So we have to start somewhere. It's not magic. It's not going to be one day thing, not 1 year thing, but we just have to start. If we delay starting, we will still be crawling. And the world has moved. The world has moved, and we have to move. Nigeria, we say, yes, I don't see Nigeria as a sleeping giant, but I see us as a giant, and we have to behave like that. Our leaders, whoever is going to come in, should look at what has happened in the past and move us forward. INEC also, I want to believe that, because there was a time I was discussing with people, and I was saying that why I will not excuse INEC is the fact that this is not the first time we're doing elections, and it's not the second time, it's not the third time. I don't know, I'm not sure, but it looks as if they do not do effective post-appraisal of elections.
Well, when we listen to
but it's not effective. Why I said that is that, I mean, I do a lot of trainings, and after we sit together and we debrief. What are the things we did not do well? We start with that. And then we'll now say, what are the things we have to do to mitigate this? And then what are the things we did that we must continue? So, because I remember the last time, I got to my polling booth around 8, and I met them there. So I'm wondering that, what happened? So is it that, well, you said that let's move forward. Let's look at the coalition now. I mean,
yes, in terms of looking forward, why I was interjecting. Yeah. If you Google 2011 elections, you will see the number of reports that will come out, both from INEC, observers. You know, they do full 20-page PDF. Same thing for 2015 in terms of looking at how things can be better. And we heard the INEC chairman today. He said, when the process is over, we shall learn. Conversation. Looking forward beyond coalition, even to the election on the 9th, do you think we will see the same logistic challenge in terms of logistics of getting there early, logistics of making sure the materials are there? Because we keep talking about it, only to get there and talk about it some more.
I'm not being pessimistic, but if they do not tidy up, we will still see the same thing. We will still see the same thing. Because truly, apart from the fact that they said they had to use the NURT people, I have not heard of any conversation where it says the process. Maybe because I'm a process person, I want to know the process. What's the SOP, the standard operating procedure for that? Because for every tax, for every event, there must be a standard operating procedure, and somebody must actually be looking at it that, yes, we have achieved this, we have not achieved this, why have we not achieved this? And then you resolve it, and then you move on. So if that has not been done, or there had not been any appraisal to the fact that why did the election materials arrived at the polling booths, at the polling stations late. Why? If they have not resolved that now, if there is no team looking at that, then of course it's going to repeat itself come the next election.
Georgina, in our Abuja studios, will the politicians, I mean, you're the representative of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, do you think the politicians would support this much touted and much suggested move towards adoption of technology?
Yes, of course we will. We will support that because we want there to be more ease in the system and more transparency in the system. Anything that will help the system move forward, we are all for it. However, there's an angle we're not looking at, and that's the angle of the voting populace. The majority of the voting populace are not literate. And that will be a challenge that we'll have to tackle before we go into this fully. For instance, in this election that held yesterday, I had got some reports, at least from Ekiti State, where some people were voting. They had 3 different levels of votes that were supposed to be cast yesterday. Some people went home with their ballot papers because they put all the votes on one ballot sheet, which will probably account for why we have so many void ballot papers, void votes. Because the populace still didn't understand. In rural areas, they still don't understand this entire process. So if we're going to, we've never finished understanding the analog, how are we going to now move into the IT? It's going to be a process. We are all for it. We want to end down, make the process much more easier and much more transparent. But we also have to look at our peculiar situation in Nigeria. Yes, we should start from somewhere, but I think someone should start from not disenfranchising the people, having to carry them along. I think that electronic voting was tested, I think, in the Kaduna local government elections. But I don't think it was an entire success, which is why it wasn't used in other elections. So it's not, when you're in the system, it's a different thing entirely. It's not enough to just sit back and criticize the system and say, oh, it's not what it should be and all that. When you're in there, you're able to understand the pros and the cons, the setbacks and all the things that are involved to even get it to where we are at today. I think, and I've said it at different fora, that the INEC chairman and his team and the national are doing all they can possibly do to deliver a credible, free and transparent elections for us. But my concern, as I've said at other fora as well, is those that are the other levels. Do they have that same determination, that same zeal to make this work for the generality of Nigerians?
Yeah, but how do you make them have that zeal? Because for a country the size of Nigeria, you will always have the gradation. There are people at the national level, people at the state level, local government level, and so on. So how do you make that synergy run down the line, especially if you're going to retain it the way it is, which is that it's a centralized system, it's one body that is running the elections?
Generally, advocacy. And then, like one of your immediate past guests said, having to work on our psyche as Nigerians. Because it's not about, it shouldn't be about personal gain. It shouldn't be about your likeness for a certain individual. It shouldn't be about your closeness or your ethnicity. It should be about Nigeria making things work for all of us. That is what we should be concerned about. So it's about advocacy. We just keep on saying it. It's said that the law, repetition is the law of deep and lasting impression. So we're just going to have to keep on repeating this and hope that someday we'll get there. It's a process. And 2019 is an improvement to 2015. We had more people out on the streets. We had, I mean, this past drive for voters registration is the highest we've ever had in the history of Nigeria. So that means more people are coming involved in the process. And then we'll have to now work on making sure that we are all on the same page. We'll just keep on advocating and keep on speaking, and we'll get there someday. We are getting better. I totally believe that.
I want to clarify something that you said in your last statement about someone or some people taking home the ballot papers. How is that possible? Because you can't leave the polling area with the ballot paper. There are people who are watching you. There's a process. So how did they manage to do that? Do you know?
I don't know. I was flabbergasted by just the statement. I didn't ask further. But it was one of my candidates that gave me that report that, you know, when his voters came home and they came to give them the report that they had voted for him, and then he saw them with ballot paper. I'm like, why are you with this? We put everything on one. Maybe you said you should just put a thumbprint on your logo. So we did that on all the ballot papers. On the ballot paper that we had, and there was, it's not the same thing. Why do we have to repeat it 3 times?
I mean, it's not something you witnessed yourself.
So that, for me, gave me cause for concern and realized that we didn't really do enough voters' education as to the fact that they had to vote individually for the different levels of
yes, but it's
positions that were being run for yesterday.
What we're trying to say is it's not something you saw yourself. Were you able to verify this, you know, in any way, except that this is something that you were told?
Like I said, I was told by a candidate. I just called him up this evening to find out how he had done, and just to get a pulse of the performance and how it went in his constituents, and that was a report that he gave to me.
Okay, but we'll come back to you, Mrs. Femi Ajayi. Because now we must look ahead. There's still another election, because I mean, when people talk about, you know, looking forward, there's another election in less than 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely.
And if there are lessons to be learned and to be applied, maybe the first place to apply them will be that next election.
Obviously.
Which is taking place in about 2 weeks' time. If you were to identify 2 or 3 things that could be changed between now and that election, what would they be?
The first thing is, let's look at the logistics. If you say voting starts 8 o'clock, then let voting start 8 o'clock. How you're going to do it, it's your business. That's your responsibility. That's the task that was given to you. That's the assignment that was given to you. So you now have to look at all the other things that will make it work, and then begin to ensure that they also fall in line. So logistics, security. A lot of people have said, particularly all the flashpoints, we need to beef up security there. And then I believe there is also the intelligence service being engaged in here. So I think they need to do more. They need to do more now. They need to put in their personnel to sniff, to know what is happening. Because, I mean, if they really want to do their job, they will do it. Yes, that's that. And then 3, I heard over time that a lot of people with their PVCs, they did not see their names on the register, and that baffles me. So they need to look at what was put into the system. Because initially when somebody, I think it was, I saw the video that have been everywhere, and then at the end of the day, after going to 2 polling booths, I checked online. And lo and behold, I actually saw it that it was, I think it was in Abuja.
Yes, indeed.
And then he got there.
And they said they had closed.
No. He got there, and then they said, no, that it's 16A. I think he saw 16. So there's another 16A. So he went to 16A, and then that was when they
now told him that
you understand? And then I also, there's another estate in Lagos that they were wondering how 600 names or something got into the database. So I'm wondering that, so what did they feed into the system? So those are the things that I think they need to look critically.
It's okay. At this point, Georgina, you have 45 seconds to weigh in on that. What else? What has Mrs. Femi Ajayi left out?
Well, I'm going to go entirely different. I have just 45 seconds. Let me just go quickly to it. I want to appeal to the 2 leading contenders in today's election, the presidential election. There's a need for them to please help to douse the tension that Nigerians are going through right now. And we need the Peace Committee to rise up and step in and help to quell the tension and ensure that the 2 leading candidates abide by the terms of the Peace Committee Accord that is signed, because we cannot and do not want to go through another crisis. We want INEC to live up to responsibility, because we want to be in good standing with the international community, because they have their observers, and we want what they have observed to be what will happen when the coalition, when the results are finally announced.
That's interesting. That's a good point.
Yeah.
We're going on a break at this point, and when we return, among others, Sheun Okibaloye, the people have been asking me, where is he? Well, he's been reporting out, and now he's back, and he's got some numbers, different set of numbers from what Babajide Ogunsanya gave us earlier on. We'll be joined by Sheun on the other side of the break, and we'll still have our guests, Mrs. Femi Ajala, and of course, Georgina Dapopo with us here in the studio. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back to the verdict. Again, a wide swathe of people sending in their pictures of them watching the verdict on Channels television from right across the face of the globe.
Yeah, we also have from Dubai, California, and Salzburg.
Indeed. And of course, you want to tell them once again how it is that this can be done?
Yeah, that you can watch us on the go wherever you are. YouTube.com/Channels Television. Subscribe to us. You can have the Channels TV or the Channels 24 app downloaded from the Play Store or from the iStore so that you can watch channels on the go. Someone saying here, I go everywhere with my Channels TV. Thank you very much. Then, if you have any, you can send us the pictures of how you're watching Channels TV, or how you're following the news, the election coverage, with the hashtag I voted. The verdict.
Yes.
Hashtag I voted and hashtag 2019 elections. Send it in and we'll put it up and let the whole world know.
Yes, indeed. From anywhere, as you can see evidence that you can. The nation's news leader on duty 24/7, round the clock during these elections. Now, we're being joined at this point, apart from Mrs. Femi Ajayi, who is with us, and Georgina Dapopo from Abuja. Incidentally, I wanted to ask Georgina if, because during the break I saw you on your phone, so I was wondering if those were election results you were receiving, and if we wanted to share some of that with us. But I see that they are not. They are not?
No, they are not election results, and I don't even have the power to announce them in easy way.
I was putting you up for a trap, actually. I was putting you up for a trap. Now,
I sense that.
Aha, good. Now, Sheun Okibaloye is here with his favorite toy.
Yeah.
It's missed you, I'm sure.
Yes, of course. I've been out all day, so taking a look at what has been happening out there. But let's take a look at what we should be expecting, because I saw you guys churning out some result as announced by INEC. So a lot of people will be wondering. For example, you saw the animation that we did over the last few days about the elections that we entered into, the presidential election, the National Assembly election, and the House of Representatives election. A lot of people were wondering, who will come back? Who will stay? Who has the opportunity of winning this election, especially in the senatorial contest? So I have some few minutes to spend right on this board tonight. But let me take a look and fan your appetite with this. So let's take a look at some of the result, the senatorial result that a lot of Nigerians want to know who will win in this contest. So, for example, if you go to Kwara Central, the Senate President, Bukola Saraki of the PDP, is up against Ibrahim Oloriegbe of the APC. A lot of Nigerians want to know who is winning in this one. As soon as we get the result, we'll get them to you. Another result that will be interesting for a lot of people to know is the man who led the PDP. In fact, he was a minority leader in the PDP. He moved to the APC. A lot of people want to know if he's able to get a ticket to, to win, to get back into the National Assembly. Another one is Biodun Olujimi. When Senator Akpabio left, she became the minority leader in the PDP. Is she able to get back? We will find out. Is up against Adeyeye Adebayo. Another one is Oyo South. And guess what? The governor is up against the PDP candidate, Kola Balogun. Is the governor able to join some of his colleagues who are now in the Senate? That's another one. Another governor right here, Rochas Okorocha, is another one who is up against Isonaso Osita. Osita, you remember that he's joined APGA from the APC, and he was the national organizing secretary of the APC before he left. Strong contest. I'm being told my time is up here. Dino Mela is another one against Smart Adeyemi, who spent about 2 or 3 time there. Biodun Olujimi, another one. So a lot of them that we need to watch out for. I wish I had more time. There are a lot of figures that we could have shared. But that's my time.
Something tells me you're going to have a lot more time to talk about those.
Absolutely.
Something tells me. But indeed, it's as Phil did point out, it's time for us to go. Georgina, any last words? Very short, very short.
Okay, I'd like to appeal to Nigerians to stay calm. And please, let's stop banding and relying on social media results. Let's wait for the official results from INEC. And let's just stay calm. Let's hope the best for our country, our beloved country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So indeed, that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you very much, Georgina Dapopo, IPAC National Secretary, and of course, Mrs. Buki Femi Ajayi, who was with us here in our Lagos studios. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, it's time to go.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Come on, guys.